So we're back in for another training session. We're going to do shoulders. So I know a lot of people that have followed me for a while are thinking, fuck's sake, not another shoulder session. But I thought it's good to kind of document where I am with regards to shoulder training and the shoulder injury. So today you'll be able to see kind of how things have changed with just like the way it moves, the level of intensity we're able to apply. I'm now able to like feel the muscle actually working, rather than it just being like a movement. So now I can actually focus on the side delt and the rear delt, get a good contraction through them. I can also dumbbell press now. So what I've decided to do is go back to the dumbbell press rather than machine, because it forces the stabilizer muscles, the rotator cuffs, it forces them to work. So, which is what I want, because I've had some issues with the rotator and where the shoulder's sitting in essentially a new position caused by the labrum being sewn together essentially. So it's caused the shoulder to be moved forward in a different position, which has kind of interfered with the rotator cuffs. So by forcing the rotator cuff to work a little bit harder in free weights movements, I think that's going to be more beneficial in the long run going forward. So, which I've already seen the differences in. It was quite tough to begin with. For instance, I think when we went back to dumbbell press, well, when I went back to dumbbell press, I was doing like 25s, and that was, I wouldn't say it was painful, but it was definitely not fun anyway. It was quite uncomfortable. So, whereas last week, pressed the 50s for 2 sets of 12, 15 and 12. So I'm a little bit off where I was prior. So my shoulder press kind of weights, so you're looking at like 60s or 70s for the working sets, but it's coming back, and that's all that matters in the day. The good thing is as well is that I'm growing at a good pace. So this is now the heaviest I've ever been. So I was 300.2 on Sunday morning, and I was 305 during the day. So that's quite heavy. So in terms of off-season, everything's moving perfectly. We're ironing out the last few bits of the shoulder, just getting physio done every single week, manipulating the training where need be, testing the waters with new strength levels, and just putting the shoulder under more and more stress. Also started with a mobility coach as well, so she's helped me out massively, getting the shoulder moving through ranges and not just relying on simple stretching movements. Because as much as I do enjoy and I'm interested in like the mobility and stretching side of training, it's not my expertise. So it was good to hire in someone else and get her perspective on how the shoulder should be functioning in that. So that's made a huge difference as well. So currently doing 2 mobility sessions a week, and then we're doing stretching AM, PM, post-workout, pre-workout. So really just trying to keep on top of mobility. So we know everything's going great. So we've got 10 weeks left of off-season now. 10 weeks until we actually go to the Olympia in Florida the last weekend of October, do Disneyland and all that sort of stuff, and then go to the Mr. Olympia. So I've got that between now, which is the last week of August, until then. So it's roughly about 10 weeks, I think, to put on as much size as humanly possible. After that point, I'll then dial everything back just a wee bit, allow my body just to kind of coast into the new year, and then we're going to start prep January 1st in the new year and get back to doing all that kind of fun stuff again, and then compete June 2024. So that's the plans just now. So a little bit more work to add, a little bit more size, but I think the size is pretty much there anyway. I'm happy with what I've built over the past 18 months. That's even with the shoulder tear and the shoulder surgery. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased. Looking back, at the time I was obviously quite, I wouldn't say upset. Upset's a strong word, but frustrated with like what I consider to be a setback. But as you can see, as long as you work through things and you keep pushing, you keep learning, you keep trying to make things, work to make things better, then it will eventually get better and you'll be able to get back to where you were before. So enjoy today. Very similar setup to before, but like I said, it's good for you guys to kind of see how a shoulder can progress through a labrum tear and post-surgery. So enjoy. So the warm-up routine for shoulders has changed slightly. So it's more about kind of mobilizing the joint rather than about mobilizing the joint rather than stretching it. So we're doing a lot of mobility stuff. So with the rotator cuffs in different angles, flexion, extension, internal, external rotation. So that's kind of the differences there. Is mobilizing it rather than stretching it, it wasn't a mistake what I was doing in the past, but I think that's, once I've mobilized the shoulder, it feels good. So that's the kind of setup now. So you'll see that going forward. So first exercise, same as before, always starting with Panatta side raises. So rep ranges, we're still keeping it to 15 to 20, 3 sets. The last set being a double drop set. So again, we're both seeing the benefit of doing high rep, high volume shoulders. So apart from the pressing, so we're going to keep that in play. With these, don't really go to failure. It's probably about maybe 2, 1 rep in reserve. Again, we're just trying to accumulate as much volume as possible. I find personally when I go too heavy on side raise movements that my traps and my forearms become too involved. So I have to scale the weight back, do a little bit more in terms of sets in order to accumulate that fatigue that I need. So, sorry, not fatigue, the stimulation that I need. So that's the reason for doing that. The 1 or 2 working sets to failure for me, I have to use a mountain of weight, and like I said, I'm not feeling it at my side delt. So I feel keeping it lighter, I'm actually able to connect with the side delt a lot more. So.
Come on, up. 3, 1 more. Good. Pass it out.
Yes, something that's maybe a bit lost with today's training methods. Now, don't get me wrong, like every training method works. It just depends on application. But I feel it's the feeling the weight or feeling an exercise is a bit lost nowadays. You know, I think we are a lot more focused with moving X load from point A to point B. Perfect execution, obviously. But I think we've kind of detached ourselves from actually feeling something work. Now, like I said, I can move 100 point A to point B, but at the end of the day, I'm not feeling it. But if we can relate that to kind of current training methods, that would be seen as a big win, and it is. It is a big win trying to get a certain amount of weight on a logbook, pushing up. But there does become a certain point where, you know, we're tipping that scale and we're actually going into realms of weight where we're not actually feeling it in the muscle. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. So we're going to do a variation of a rear cable fly. So we're going to start up, cuffs through the palms of the hands. It just allows for that motion there, allows for a perfectly straight lever down like that, rather than if you're just to use like the ends of the cable, the stoppers, if you're holding it like that, you can tend to like move the wrist and stuff, so that the cuffs with your thumbs out allow you to just keep that lever there from the fingertip down at the shoulder as long as possible. So we're going to do that. 4 sets, 20 reps. Again, similar outlook towards side raises, just accumulating volume, accumulating stimulation rather than doing like one heavy set, because I know for a fact my rear delts, I've struggled to connect with my rear delts for years. It's not until the past maybe 3 or 4 years I've actually been able to properly connect with them. And I know for a fact if I try and like move as much weight as possible for 1 or 2 sets, I'm not going to feel in the rear delt at all. I know for a fact my back will take over. So again, lowering the weight, accumulating a bit more volume, I think that's going to be more beneficial for the shoulder. So I've definitely seen changes in size and shape and that off the back of what we've been doing for the past almost 9 months now. So it's definitely working.
So I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch, but it works. So.
Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say, I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We don't know the time, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play. Moving fast, already gone, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get bigger, cause it can get bigger, cause it can get bigger. Hey, please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Ay, I can never let up even if you had enough. Ay, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat a submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash of the distance ain't coming off track, no. Now when they ask me tomorrow, don't talk about the show, they all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice, and I'm keeping it rolling, they don't know. I got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ay. Ain't on overtime, you don't need to understand.
So like I said, we're going to do dumbbell shoulder press. That's what we've been doing for the press for a while now. Like I said, I want to try and work the rotator cuffs and stimulate the rotator cuffs rather than just relying on a machine to take the stability off the rotator cuff. I actually want to try and stimulate and try and force the rotator cuff to work a bit harder so that over time I can build a stronger joint. I think trying to, and also getting into the machine as well just now is a little bit difficult. So at least with a dumbbell I can manipulate the rotation of the shoulder, rotation of the wrist, so on and so forth. So it's, I think, a bit more beneficial for me just now. And then once I've kind of, I wouldn't say peaked, but once I've kind of got what I want out of the shoulder press, rotator cuff strength-wise, then I'll move back to a machine maybe, but we'll see. But I'm really enjoying these just now, so, and that's the main thing. So I like to, just now, work up through all the increments of weight, just to really make sure that everything's good to go. Whereas before I might have just went 20, 40, 70. Pretty stupid, probably why I tore the shoulder. So we'll do probably 2 working sets, 8 to 12. It's funny because it's like the heads of the shoulder can actually, they handle it fine. It's everything that's underneath the shoulder.
Yep. One in. Yeah, it's on. Yeah. Yep.
But I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be, cause it's the path that God chose for me. So even if some doors close for me, I still won't let y'all close to me.
Nope.
So please step back
One more.
to supposed to be. Put the game all on hold for me.
Live.
And sit back, watch me roast the beat. It's in my jeans, I'm better than a man. I know my flow too sick, I got the medicine. I'm way at the top, who can take my place? I went too hard, can't feel my face. Best in this thing, tell them, yeah, that's me. Tell them, who the five say, yeah, that's me. Who make it flip, make it bang, ooh, yeah, that's me. Who make the party feel alive, tell them, yeah, that's me. Whoa. Yeah, yeah, that's me. Who that chillin' at the top, tell them, yeah, that's me.
One.
Yeah, yeah, tell them, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'm chillin' at the top, ooh, yeah, that's me.
bent over rear fly. You've seen me do this before where we go on all fours, we come underneath the body, so that forces you to keep a curve in your arm, a bend in the arm, sorry. In order to clear the floor, that causes us to stay on the rear delt the entire time. So it's a nice wee like rear delt hack that you can use. It's a pain getting the floor every single time though.
XL up in the thing, you can't shake that. All the way gassed up, full tank, man. Moving too quick, keep the cameras in the playback. Dang, so tell me how you feel with it. You put a lid on it, I ain't got no chill with it. This right here your problem, you gon' have to deal with it. Head on the line, high risk, that's the meal ticket. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold on ground where we at, never fall back. No lies on us, we gon' stay right where we at. We ain't never fall back.
So just Y raises, so 3 straight sets, 20 reps, and at the end of the third set we've done this before, reduce the weight by 30%, so it's roughly 2 plates, and then do 3 seconds, about 5 seconds on the way down, and just work that entire range until we can't move it at all, and then we'll call that a day with shoulders.
Came with the hands out, get them off. 24/7 in the office. Pay attention 'cause I ain't repeating offers. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, get it handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.
So we're going to do 4 sets of V-bar pushdown. Again, triceps exactly the same. Triceps have been like this for years though. Just filling them up with as much blood as humanly possible. Do 10 sets of tris, and the last one being a superset. Again, we're trying to engorge the muscle. I don't give a fuck what people say about how that doesn't work or it's fatiguing or whatever. Like, all it does is accumulate fatigue. Like, I know this is specific to bodybuilding, but look at anyone that does any kind of volume in any other sport. Look at the muscle gain that they get off the back of that. Now, so volume must have some attributing factor to that. And I think people's just absolute fear of doing anything bar 3 sets in total just like completely scares them. Like I've done that, got clients to do that, it works, but you know, you have to, I've gone through this in videos tons of times, you have to shift your mindset towards different aspects and different variations and different techniques in training. Otherwise, you'll just be stagnant for years. You may be doing the most efficient thing possible, but if you're going in and doing the exact same thing every single week because your body's plateaued strength-wise or rep-wise, then there has to be some sort of variance there eventually. But if you're still seeing strength gains, you're still seeing like size gains off the back of what you're doing, keep doing it, absolutely. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, don't vindicate and ridicule anything bar, you know, the traditional one working set, one back off.
Here we go, come on over there. Relax. Yep. Come on. Again. Yep. Good. Yes. Two. More.
So yeah, three sets, 15 to 20. Again, following the theme of just pumping up the triceps as much as possible. So it's probably, like I said, 10 sets in total. Just trying to get them as round and bubbly as possible, and I fully advocate that this style of training does that. To be honest, like when we were doing, like for instance, like close grip presses, like close grip pressing 3-4 plates aside, like it's fun, but again, what starts taking over? The chest, the shoulders, the lats, the upper back to an extent. You know, it's all these like secondary muscles that work when in reality, that's good up to an extent, but when we've got the mass that we need, I feel just solely isolating the arms is what's going to just take the look to that next level. And I thoroughly believe that the look that I'm going to bring next year is going to be vastly different to looks I've had in previous years, where, don't get me wrong, I've been hard and dry and whatnot, but I've never been like bubbly full, apart from one time with the PCA British. But I do think that with this style of training, it's going to shift towards that going forward now, so. The better anyway.
Again. Here. 1, 2, 3. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your arms is right there. Down. Good. Go. Go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax.
A little bit of supersetting. So we've done this in the last one as well, but we're doing over the shoulder extensions. So we're hitting outer portion there, the tri, and then bent over, hitting the long head of the tri there. So again, just a last wee bit, just to finish off the tris. Plus it's fun, so I'm all about fun. Well, trying to convince all my viewers.
Thinking back, drop the classic, to establish that the magic, saw the magic, got a mask, who was at it, living legend, lethal weapon, mastermind, never tired, tell them all, big dreams, I got big dreams just like baby, I've been joining forces with the likes of an A-team, jumping off of buildings used to be so stimulating, now I'm reaching new heights, I'ma need the off-white. Play with the fire, you get burned. All of my struggles became lessons well learned. I got desires that keep me grounded, that's for sure. Cause one day we gon' make it out this earth. Where's your worth? I'm sick of your talking, you got the wrong one. I'm taking your king and I leave him broken. If I am in second, it's after no one. Just give me a second to let them know. I'm the headline, the deadline. I'm ahead time, the rare kind. I'm a living legend, lethal weapon, master.
So it's another shoulder session wrapped up. So really good one. As you saw, press 50s for 2 sets, dumbbell press with relative ease. So no issues with the shoulder there, which was brilliant. Didn't feel a thing. Even last week, I moved the 50s, but I can still feel a wee bit kind of just residual tightness, just underneath the. If you think about where the rear delt is, it's like I get like a pain underneath it, like that. But nothing this week, which is good. So shoulder feels really stable, feels strong. I kind of see in the mirror as well that both sides are starting to look symmetrical. For a while, like this one was internally rotated, it lost its size. Well, I'll say that one hadn't. So there was a disparity between the two, but now it seems like to be quite even. So that was a great session. Probably one of the best shoulder sessions of the year. So yeah, really delighted with that. So very similar to the previous shoulder session that we filmed. But like I said, I'm trying to show guys and girls, if you are going through, any kind of shoulder injury, shoulder post-op, just to kind of watch me and kind of learn from my mistakes and what I'm doing. So one of the biggest mistakes I probably made was not doing enough mobility post-op and just relying on stretching, which it was kind of helping, but we want to get the joint mobile, and put it through its ranges prior to going into sessions. So that was something I wasn't doing. I was just doing a lot of stretching, which wasn't really improving my range of motion. So, but now we're on top of that and everything looks good and we're well on track to, be, well, I am the biggest I've ever been in my life. So, and I'm not too fat either. I think my composition is still pretty good. So we're rolling into the latter half of this year in a good, very good spot training wise, touch wood. Digestion, nutrition is all absolutely bang on. So we've got, like I said, about 9-10 weeks before we pull back, give the body a little bit of a rest and just kind of cruise into the new year. And then we'll take it from there. So, but yeah, delighted with that session and how training in general is going just now. So I'm back to, because before I was quite very wary of certain movements. Like if I was pressing, I'd be like wary of my shoulder, like constantly worrying about it. It's not a nice place to be when you're training. You want to just be able to be explosive and just go at it. But I haven't been able to do that for a long time. So it's good now that I can like move weight. As I was saying earlier, is that like I'm almost expecting something bad to happen with every rep, which is a horrible place to be. But now I'm kind of slowly getting my mind out of that and knowing that the shoulder is in a solid place and it is feeling and looking good. So that's the main thing. So again, guys, cheers for tuning in. Do all the subscribe-y, likey stuff. And yeah, we'll be getting more videos on the way. Cheers.